So I guess I'm going to start. Uh, so yeah, thank you for coming, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Claudia, and also everybody at the Memento for giving me a chance, graciously to talk to have a talk. Uh, so before I start, I'm just kind of read out the land acknowledgement. So Toronto is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe and the Chippewa and the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat people. It is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that the Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Williams Treaty signed with the multiple Mississaugas and the Chippewa Band. So yeah, thank you for taking the time off on this very warm spring day. I kind of want to enjoy it myself. uh, but my name is Pengkuei Ben Huang, or Ben, known by my name. I'm a photographer based in Toronto, and own an online bookstore called Hyoryusha Books, specializing in photo books from Japan and Taiwan, with the possibility of like expanding to the rest of the Asian Pacific region. So what you see here today is, so it began with like just two countries, but it was interested in expanding to like other parts of Asia, like say the Vietnam, for example, Vietnam, Indonesia, or Korea. So I was born in Taiwan in 1977 to an Indonesian-born Chinese father and the mother who is the Taiwan-born Chinese. I lived in Taiwan until age 12 before taking on the journey of migrating to many places, first Indonesia, then California, before settling in Canada in 2004. So I became interested in photography while I was at the university in Los Angeles. Upon seeing the exhibition entitled New Documents at the MoCA in Los Angeles, and seeing the works of Diane Arbus, Lee Friedlander, and Gary Winograd, I took an interest in documentary photography. Subsequently, I moved to San Francisco in 2001 and completed my education there before moving to Canada. So between my university years and my time living in Canada, I've done a few personal projects. Notable one being traveling across the U.S. Documenting theme parks, a project that I born out of a resentment, which then turned into fascination. That being said, a lot of the times I spent was more or less on the street, trying to get a sense of the environment I just settled. Then on March 11, 2011, a massive tsunami struck Japan. And for the next decade, I began a grand journey traveling between Canada and Japan, subsequently Taiwan, engaging in the various projects there. During the journey, I had many wonderful opportunities to connect with the fantastic image makers in Asia. They have all produced stunning works and published them in books. But these titles had received little or no attention in Canada. This was when the idea of establishing some sort of presence here at home and introducing them to the Canadian audiences. But the idea wasn't really taking hold until after my second exhibition in Asia in 2024. The following years, I tabled two fairs under a different name here in Canada. One was the Contact Photo Book Fair, and the other one was a Vancouver Art Book Fair. So I did this as an experiment. So to my surprise, interest in Asian publication has been higher than I expected. This allowed me to truly consider building a permanent base to provide the Canadian photo book collectors with the easier access to photo books made in Asia. So with that in mind, in the fall of 2025, I established the online bookstore, Hyoryusha Books. So Hyoryusha means drifting house in Japanese. It is an online bookstore at its core. But beyond the online presence, it is also a cultural exchange hub where we invite artists from Asia to give a talk about making of their books. Currently, we're undertaking several initiatives. The core program is to introduce titles from Asia through book sales online, pop-ups, and or at fairs. We're also planning on inviting 1 to 3 artists from Asia or artists with the Asian background and hosting talks in various venues in the GTA throughout Canada annually. Lastly, we're planning on to publish a small run books by collaborating with artists of Asian background or subject matter related to Asia that we find interesting. By all means, um, even though we set the rules, I'm very open to like subject matter that was or like people with a different background. So, but the key is like I have to we have to find that there's a merit to publish them. There's a merit to actually to actually compel me to actually engage that project and then make it into the book. So that is just like a general rule of thumb for like what are we looking for like a future publishing project, but that's not a set rule. Yeah. That was the plan. Yeah. But in order for that plan to in order for that plan to work, I have to use myself as an experiment first. No. But we'll talk about that in this like later on. Good. So since the book sales consist of photo books from Japan and Taiwan, I'm going to talk briefly about the history of photography in both countries and introduce a few titles. So, Japanese photography. The introduction of photography in Japan began at the end of the 19th century. The medium gained popularity in the early 20th century as many Japanese artists began to experiment with the medium. 1920s saw the emergence of the photographic movement with artists like Yasuhiro Ishimoto and Shomei Tomatsu exploring new aesthetics and the social themes. In the post-war Japan, photography became a critical medium for artistic expression. Notably, the Provoke movement in the late 1960s, which challenged the traditional aesthetics and emphasized a gritty realism. Notably, Daido Moriyama emerged from this movement and it became an iconic photographer familiarized by the West. So contemporary photographers continue to push a boundary, blending traditional technique with the modern technology to address the contemporary issues. Throughout its history, Japanese photography has been characterized by the unique blend of traditional aesthetics and modern innovations, reflecting the complexity of Japanese culture and society. So here are the three titles I'm going to introduce to you. I'm also just going to pass it around that so you can actually take a look at that while I'm giving the introduction. So first is Yuki Iwanami, uh, Blue Persimmon. Yuki Iwanami is a photographer based in Fukushima, originally from Nagano Prefecture. He graduated from the Waseda University in Tokyo and briefly worked for the Yomiuri News before 2011 tsunami. He made the decision to relocate there permanently. Since then, Iwanami has dedicated himself to documenting the complexity of life in Fukushima, capturing the invisible and imperceptible reality that have become defined in the area. So Blue Persimmon illustrates the life persists under the looming shadow of radiation concerns. The natural rhythm of the season continues. Trees thrive, flowers blossom, vegetables are harvested, children mature and graduate from the school. The vibrant festival takes place. Yet, amidst Iwanami's otherwise unremarkable and ordinary scenes, a scene of anxiety of a loss lingers, uh, underscoring the profound impact of the dissent on the community. This work was helping to earn the Eugene Smith Grant in 2020 before it actually became a book. Yeah. Subsequently, like it does take some time, but because of the pandemic, but he was able to publish this book 2 years ago. Yeah. So the second book I'm going to introduce is X Element. You probably see the book too.
Yeah, actually, I can take the next
Yeah,
one.
by the Seto Kino. So born in Nagoya, Japan in 1978, Seto graduated from Kyoto University. While in university, Seto traveled to many parts of Asia, including China, Tibet, India, and Pakistan. He came back to research activities of iron, but after watching through his lens of people enjoying the agriculture in Kyoto, he found his calling. Subsequently, Seto quit graduate school and became a photographer. So, Seto, Seto documents the Oku-Izumo region in Shimane Prefecture in X element. His striking image reflected a common trend in rural Japan as the population declines. Seto's work delved into intricate layers of the local landscape, exploring not only the physical elements such as a diverse natural environment, agriculture, and the human-made structures, but also like the social narrative that shaped it. He poses a profound question about how human history, cultural myths, and the lives of individuals influence and transforms the character of this unique region. So as I mentioned before, like what I love about that book is that the fact that it's like made it feel like a novel, especially like on the text part, like the paper they use is very much like those like old menu, almost like it's like old encyclopedia.
Sure, I like how he's sometimes going like so deep into each shots,
Yeah,
and then he's like zooming out.
yeah. And the funny thing, he wasn't really a photographer to begin with. He was studying the he was actually studying iron.
He was saying what?
Iron. He was a science student. He only like became a photographer after he went to like
I think that's how a lot of people came.
yeah, I know.
I feel like most people who I know were like in the beginning, some doing something else, like
But
electrician.
yeah, that's actually I'm actually in a similar path. Like before I switched to photography,
Mhm.
I was actually first major in international politics.
Okay.
But then end up like graduating with the photography degree.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Kind of see his interest in science, like natural elements,
Yeah.
It's true.
like microscopic views.
Yeah.
It's like your friend that you were telling that she is a doctor.
Yeah, she's a doctor. She's a doctor, and then
But
she's
it's also interesting that you can see how she's working with the body. So it looks like if you were doing something before it, you still pursue this interest in your photography too.
exactly. And then things like with her other work,
Yeah.
which was not including the converse in this in the talk.
Yeah.
Her other work, she has this like a strange fetish of bugs.
Bugs?
Yeah,
Like box?
like yeah, insects,
Ah.
flies and whatnot. Like I was, yeah, she's a very interesting person. Yeah, like very interesting. But the third title, Japanese title, is going to introduced was Ukina by Hikaru Honda. So Hikaru Honda was born in Osaka in 1967 and grew up in a place called the Senri New Town. After graduating from the Otemon Gakuen University in economics, another one that was not photographer to begin with, he got a full-time job at the advertising company in 1989. Subsequently, he quit his job and went to film school in 1997 and worked for a game company while taking an interest in photography. Was the time like when he was trying to actually trying to work to be a script writer, but then failed. So Ukina is a neighborhood nestled in northern Tokyo. So it's actually a suburb. Uh, where the Hikaru Honda sought refuge due to is affordable housing. Because in the part of like in the northern part of a suburb, northern part of Tokyo, which considered inner suburb, uh, they built a lot of public housing. I think it was like 60s and 70s, and a lot of them are kind of like falling apart. I know because I've been there like once. So that's where a lot of people, like even artists, like will gather just because like they're affordable. Yeah. So moving beyond the scene of the failure or the bitterness after his screenwriting career failed, Honda found a love in his 40s with Noriko, uh, making a significant new chapter in their lives. Through his lens, Honda captured their shared life in Okinawa, documenting the intimate work through the neighborhood and the moments spent together at home. His photographs reveal the beauty that often unnoticed, encouraging viewers to appreciate the everyday moments that define our existence. Yeah. Apparently, I think they were always having a. I think they're always having an argument or something. At least that's what I sense.
It looks mad.
Yeah.
He made a whole book about her, so it must love her.
I mean, I think
He's
that's
also a photographer.
no. She. I think she just likes taking photographs. Uh,
Looks like
as
he
a
likes also overexposed, yeah?
yeah.
Interesting choice, I'm not sure.
But at the same time, like I think one of like the starting point where like Honda was trying to like Honda became this project was more or less because he was startled by the fact that the Noriko was able to identify a lot of these flowers in the neighborhood, and that's for him. I think that was like kind of fascinating thing. But yes, they have like a very intimate relationship at the same time. Like kind of like our couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like anyone you love.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll probably like arguing and arguing and like taking picture at the same
Yeah.
time. Yeah. But yeah, now that I introduced like a few titles for the Japanese photography, I'm just going to move on to the Taiwanese one. So first, the brief history. So Taiwanese photography has a rich and diverse history that reflects the island's unique cultural evolution, social dynamics, and political changes. The same thing, the introduction of the photography to Taiwan began in the late 19th century when the foreign photographer documented the landscape, culture, and the people. During the Japanese colonial period between 1895 and 1945, photography became more institutionalized. The Japanese government established a photography school and used the medium for propaganda, education, and documentation. After the end of the Japanese rule and the Chinese nationalists retreat to the island, photography became a tool for both artistic expression and the social commentary. And the social commentary. Notable example being actually there is this one photographer in the 70s called Yi Zhongran. He he's to me considered more influential than the one that I was given, than the example given here. Yeah, because he's has a profound influence with all the Taiwanese all the all the Taiwanese photographer from the following generation, including the one of the magnet photographer Chen Chang. Yeah, so that is the work that I was think he was the one I was thought was more influential than the other. But anyway, moving on. The democratization of Taiwan in the late 20th century allowed for greater freedom of expression. Contemporary photographers emerged, addressing issues like environmental change, identity, and personal narratives. Today, Taiwanese photography is characterized by the blend of traditional influence and the contemporary practices, showcasing the island's diverse cultural heritage and ongoing social transformation. So here are three titles I'm just going to introduce. Uh, First, Something Vibrant by Hao Su. I know this. So Hao Su lives in Taipei, Taiwan, and engaged in photography with the observation and the dialectic of photography through graphic images, installation, photo books, and performances. In recent years, his work have focused on the memories and identity of Taiwan's subjectivity and the river exploration and roving. It's a very interesting book.
He's funny.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Even though, like in the writing, he always trying to put himself like it's in some sort of serious way. But Something Vibrant is a captivating series by Howard, who dedicated nearly a decade from like 2013 to 2023, exploring rivers near his home. Rather than focus on a specific subject, Howard's lens captures the eclectic range of elements, blurring the lines between nature and the artifice. Each photograph is meticulously composed, allowing viewers to identify and describe its components. Yet, collectively, the series transcends mere representation, embodying a deeper essence. In Something Vibrant, the river emerges as a dynamic source of life and culture, an ever-evolving entity that continuously rewrites, discards, gives, and reforms itself. And there is a comment by the one of the viewers, one of the person that was like visiting the previous pop-up, and he made a comment about this book as almost as like the Asian version of the Sleeping by Mississippi. Yeah, which immediately there was like a light bulb in my head. I was like, "You're right." Yeah, but he was also like, but other than photo book, Howard also owns a small studio in Taipei where he often done like events to connecting like local photographers or local artists. So that's Howard. And the next title I am going to introduce is the Vessel That Blossoms by Crystal Solway He. So born in Malaysia, Crystal received a PhD in molecular medicine at the National Taiwan University. She's both a researcher in molecular medicine and a practicing artist in lens-based media. She utilized photography and video art, employing images combined with her professional background and the experimental approaches as the method of artistic expression. The vessel that blossoms delves into crystals an introspective journey, reflecting on her internal desire shaped by a prolonged neglect and the deficiency of love. She conceived her body as a vessel, welcoming intervention and the symbiosis of plants, enabling flower buds and leaves to flourishing within her while absorbing essential nutrients.
Are these all like self-portraits of her? These
Yep.
are all her, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna explain how this came to be in this. But through the cycle of the composition and the disintegration, intertwined with her inner strength and the vulnerability, her flesh gradually fuses with both organic and non-organic entities, culminating in his evocative, uh, ev- evocative photography collection. Now, so that how that series came to be is that originally like she was trying to, it was a simple idea that she was trying to like do a series like that reflecting her childhood trauma where she was bullied because of her body type. So she was like trying to do something that was so simple that she has transformed. Now at the beginning she was trying to like employ a model to do that, to like envision that, to achieve that vision. She finally took bottles, and so she decided to take like 2 years to train herself, to train her body to become like flexible, and which she did it. And also like I think the last time I checked, she was in her 50s. So this was sort of like a down when she was maybe 30s or 40s, I believe. But one thing, if you notice, like as you go through the book, like the plants start to like die, and that was kind of like sort of like a metaphor for like how that as her age, her desire kind of like fades to alone. You, if you actually open the dust jacket, that's another setup image. It's a completely new setup image. It's kind of like a sequence shot of her like doing the dance performance. Yeah. Yeah.
I like your.
They should have a warning on this book before.
But your butt muscles must be really strong.
Warning, warning, make an appointment with your chiropractor before you open this book. So the last of the Taiwanese title that I'm going to introduce is Becoming Taiwanese by Liang Pingcao. So, born and raised in Taiwan, Liang Ping is an artist currently based in Taipei, Taiwan. He holds an MFA degree. He holds the master from the Pratt Institute, and his work have been exhibited internationally. Liang is a recipient of a residency unlimited artist in residency program sponsored by Ministry of Culture in Taiwan, Parkingham Arts Grant, and scholarship from Pratt Institute, among others. Additionally, Liang devotes himself to lectures, workshops, and cura- curatorial affairs, and has been invited by Taipei Fine Art Museum, Museum of Contemporary Art Taipei, Taipei Artists Village, among others. He's the director of a Lightbox, a non-profit photo book library in Taipei. So Becoming Taiwanese delve into the intricate cultural and political dynamics that have influenced Taiwan's history, highlighting the resulting fluidity of Taiwanese identity. The book centers on the so-called mother shrines located throughout Taiwan, which originated as the Shindao shrines during Japanese colonial rule between 1895 and 1945 for the war dead. And were later transformed into the mother shrine following the nationalist government's takeover in 1945. Through a compelling blend of the contemporary and the historical photographs, frequently presented in on the fold-out pages, Liang reflects on the archi- architectural and the cultural remnant of Taiwan's past. The work serves as the mediation between the living and the deceased, the imposed and independent identities, as well as like the certainty of a history and the uncertainty of the future. So this actually is the work that has like involved with a lot of archival photos, just to trying to like so like presenting a brief history about how these structures act, this how the facility is actually sort of like acts as as a clash of the history, because it was really originally a Shindao shrine for the war dead for Japan during the colonial period. Then so the nationalist government like basically just adapts it, like just take over the facility as is and just housing their own war dead. Yeah. And make everybody would worship it, pay the respect to it. Yeah. And this is also like one of my favorite book in terms of like how the book was designed.
Yeah, it's also is it his paintings too?
Yeah.
How you work with the archive? Do you need a permission from?
Well, you can just well some of them were actually because in a lot of this facility has like a museum, and they'll probably like display on the wall. So you can actually just go there and then like, just take in a snap if you have like a permission from like say whoever that was working on
But
the
when
site.
you're selling it in a book, so you need how it's worked was.
In terms of like getting the permission, like a verbal permission, it's easier to very easy to get the verbal permission if you actually explain properly in I find in Asia.
Uh-huh.
So they usually don't ask a lot of questions. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But they they unless they deem you as suspicious. Yeah.
Okay.
For the most part, no. But anyway, we're just gonna move on to the next initiative that I'm doing, artist talk. So like I mentioned before, like we do the artist talk, like we do the artist talk, and or we plan on doing artist talk, like 1 to 3 artist talk, inviting like the bookmakers from Asia or like with Asian background. But so I already had like organized 2 talks earlier this year, collaborating with the photographer Tong Tsai, who's a Taiwanese photographer based in Los Angeles right now, and the bookmaker uh, Hao Huang, who's actually based here, but owns a little studio at the Kensington Market. We did a where we're collaborating with the so I co-organized that talk with the at the Contact Photo and at the Rooney's Cafe in Hamilton. And so they're collaborating together, made this book called How to Fold a Paper Airplane. So I'm just gonna pass it now. So How to Fold a Paper Airplane is a reflective work by the toning site, inspired by the recurring dream of a gigantic red paper airplane over Taipei. Symbolize the existential tensions of life in Taiwan amid threats from Chinese military jets. The book explores the paradox of capture, capturing the essence of future uncertainties through a dynamic interplay of visible and hidden elements, using a yellow thread and a red accent to add a political context. The creativity alters the create it creatively alters the reading experience from left to right pages, revealing a blank right spaces, while right to left reveals unveils the photographs, accompanied by text that weave a narrative that remains partly unresolved. Ultimately, the work transcends the historical documentation, manifesting the absurdity of side string and the complexity of the Taiwanese reality. So that's like when you flip it like slowly, that's the text that was revealing. But if you actually flip like very quickly, that's how the read. But if you're doing like the other direction,
Oh, you see the photos.
yeah, yeah. So that's like if you do it like slowly, that's like when the text reveals. So what happened is like to make that the introduction in a simply during the president.
Yes. I imagine you never say it to the people who are buying it, and then in some moments they do like
You're like,
this.
explain.
Yeah.
But there is like a background of his nightmare of like a red the red paper layers that descending from on the sky of Taipei.
It's a funny photo.
He was so 2 years ago during the presidential election in Taiwan, he was there was a constant threat of constant harassment from the Chinese military plane trying to influence the outcome of the election. So Tsai was in, I think he was states at the time. And he was trying to do some project about it. So he followed all this data. So he followed all the data that was like published by the Ministry of Defense in Taiwan on a daily basis on how many planes that come to that came close to the strait each day, and that kind of like impacting to have this kind of reoccurring nightmare. And then he was like probably like had a discussion with his friend Hausen, and then they've just like had an idea that they'll collaborating to do a book like this, which kind of became a talk like at the contact back and in at the Rooney's back in January, and I was like very grateful like for him like that he could able to make the trip for this. Uh, at the time, this book was like shortlisted for the Henry Cartier-Bresson photo book grant. I think it was a grant. Yeah, so he has to make the trip to Paris for it. But yeah, he came and then he came like straight to Toronto from Paris before heading back. So I was very grateful for that. So just the last initiative that I was going to talk about is like we're trying to working to produce small run publications by collaborating with the people that we find interesting. Additionally, we're also trying to work with the print house in either in Canada, depending on like a volume, Japan, and the Taiwan, in the hope of connecting them with the artists that we want to collaborate with in order to produce work that not only fits the creator's vision, but also support the industry that was already like a shrinking. Here's how the example of the title that I'm experimenting with. So I'm just going to talk about briefly my title. So Neighborhood Sectors Volume 2. So I have returning to Taiwan regularly in recent years and intrigued by the prevalence of the temples on every street corner. I began to document the temples in Taiwan to illustrate this overwhelming reality to islanders while attempting to understand the society that has become like alien to me. So the concept is to do the volume zine on an annual basis uh, before like working on a book. So in this volume, like I work with the Hosem uh, to employ the risograph just as an experiment. In the and this method kind of resulted in a very saturated color that emphasizes the surreal presence of temples throughout Taiwan and inviting reader to explore this unique spiritual landscape. That being said, currently I'm trying to using my other work to to do a proper work publication, uh, collaborating with the print house in Taiwan. This is just a dummy. I'm actually going to have a talk with them in about 2 months. Yeah. So it's called Two Kings. So this title is currently in the works, and hopefully that will be our like inaugural publication next year. So I began this series out of curiosity during the pandemic, when the construction industry was excluded from the when the construction industry was exempt from the lockdown. So of course, like initially, I was just wandering around town like aimlessly before settling down on King Street corridor upon some research. So a little background about this project: the King's Regeneration Planning Initiative, commonly referred to as the Two Kings, was a pivotal city initiative launched in Toronto in 1996, aimed at reappropriating 400 acres of land in southern downtown area. The plan envisioned transforming this neighborhood abandoned industrial wasteland into a vibrant mixed-use community by reconfiguring outdated zoning bylaws. Despite the initial skepticism, this pioneer policy ultimately emerged as a success. So the book attempts to capture the like, interplay between the modern and the historical, symbolize the city's aspirations for the prosperous future. They also serve as the visual commentary and on the complex relationship between the necessity for urban growth and the desire to preserve the unique characteristics of the past in the contemporary urban environment, which we Torontonians are not very good at, to be honest. So although the Hyoryusha Books is still a relatively new platform, we have found there is like a genuine interest in photo book from East Asia, and rightly so, because of the limited channels that the Canadian have been able to access them, perhaps for decades. Our goal is not only to bring you books from the other side of the Pacific through book sales and talks, but also to bring the lesser known Canadian artists to Asia and eventually to create a hub for artistic exchanges and to inspire one another. With that, I'd like to close this talk by again thanking everyone who has come out tonight and hopefully by continuing to support us in order to bring you the inspiration works from East Asia and beyond. Well, any questions? We don't need this, right? If you want.
Do you have a question? Do you have a question or no?
I feel weird with this.
Here, you go first.
I go first?
Yeah.
So, how you actually create a photo book publisher business? What do you need for it? Hello, hello.
As far as my experience,
Yeah.
you can just start it off as like a startup. Like, I was just thinking more of like when you start up a business.
So no, I mean like your first look. You know all of these photographers, and this is how you found the books, or
Oh, this book?
all of it. Like
All of
how
it.
you look. How you looking for books?
A lot of at the beginning it was more of like getting directly from the artist.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I'm already have connect like a prior connection relationship. with.
Uh-huh.
And from there, I'm just kind of selecting the one I feel that it might be interesting of the Canadian audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Underappreciated too, because they haven't made that crossover,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and also like I've been very careful to only select the lesser known one, because like there are photographers, particularly Japanese photographer, that was already known for the West, known by the West, and I believe their publications are or their work or even their works has been collected by like known collectors. Like say for a very good example, Daido Moriyama and Araki.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm like, but to be honest with you, these two photographers, as iconic as they are, their work is mostly produced in the 70s and 80s. And now, of course, like if you actually know this photographer, like in the 90s and the early 2000s, where there is a photographer named Takeshi Homa.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah. He's also like been known by the
But he's-
West.
He's pretty well known in the West now, right?
Yeah, and so, but I don't. I personally don't find his work as compelling. Now after not seeing the work itself, like the one that after like connecting to all these like other photographers. Yeah. So that's the start, personal connection with the start, and then I begin to selecting the one that I thought it was more of more that I thought that like the people here might be find interest, but it's still not known. Yeah. And one of the thing, one of the thing that was like, is that the plan is like trying to create a hub only in Canada, so that even like the people from the south of the border will have to make the special trip to see me physically, personally, to actually get the hands of those titles. Just because I'm not interested in the U.S. market at this point. Yeah, because that's something like the publisher on the other side that already like sort of established that network, so you don't really need me to do it.
I know. I think like photo books is kind of the same for me, like working with film, because you want to see and touch the book.
Exactly.
It's such a different experience than see it online and just order it.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine that like
Yeah.
I would realize how good this book
And even like
writing
for
is.
like as a consumer,
Yeah.
if you really have a there is a channel to collect them.
Yeah.
But I think we're always like hindered by the shipping, like the logistic, the shipping cost.
Yeah.
So one of the things I was trying to like is by resolving the logistical cost, just so that I can actually bring a book with a price that was more democratic, more affordable to the Canadian scene. Yeah, and I think it took me a while, but I think I finally solved it. Yeah.
Do you have a goal to like have these artists showcase some of their work here in galleries?
Yes. In fact, I think my plan is to actually have a physical presence in the city sometime in the near future, because there are the artists from Japan or like from Taiwan. They're very interesting about bringing the publication to me, but they also some of them were also been asking for years that if I can help them find a venue to showcase their work.
Because they have, I'm sure they have followings in Japan or in Taiwan or where they
Huge
show their
following.
work,
Some of
right?
them has a huge following.
Yeah.
So they are very very interesting on me, like establishing that, which also kind of like sparked my curiosity because every time they asked that question, I was more or less like, "Why you want me to do it?"
Why do you think some of these artists are maybe lesser well known in the West? Because a lot of the time, like with picture books, it's not like you're reading anything, so there's no language barrier, right? So do you think the work is like in the West is different than what's being produced there?
Interesting enough, so when I say like a less well known in the West, it was not necessarily like all of the West, because I believe quite a few of this were actually a little better or are better known in Europe, but somehow it has a very limited reach to North America, especially in Canada, and also added to the fact that I think like if you actually look around, say for example, I was actually attending the photo book fair, photo book speed date last night at the Contact, so where people are sharing photo books, you can start seeing like there is, just say for the example, like in this city, like people will have like a different like interest in the different part, like different genre of photography, which are necessary like a fit to this genre particular. So say for example, like on the speed day, like what I seen a lot of people brought a fashion photo book.
Really?
Yeah, like out of 4 or 5 people that I was like exchange the photo book, like exchange the photo book. I believe 3 of them brought a very thick and big fashion photo book. So that kind of gives you like certain idea like where
The genre is here.
yeah, where the genre is, where the interest is, where the collection is.
And obviously, if there's interest, there's more support in terms of publications of the
Yeah.
work, right? I see.
But there is like this hidden genre that I find
Yeah.
that was more of like a documentary and narrative basis, but that they're sort of like being buried under the table. Ish, kind of.
And obviously, their work has so much merit, and they have all these followings. It just it doesn't cross over. Like
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's good that you're giving them a platform. These artists a platform
Yeah.
to exhibit.
And I
their
think
work.
there is like a potential to actually developing that platform into like a physical presence in the future.
I think people maybe too get overwhelmed. They're like, this is untouched territory. I don't know where to start. Maybe too.
Yeah. It helps like, and there's also like the language barrier, like when you're trying to trying to stop that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was able to speak 3 languages: English, Mandarin, and Japanese. So that, to me, that immediate just kind of like lower that barrier. And from there, and because like I sort of like kind of like traveling extensively across these 3 places: Canada, Japan, Taiwan. So in a way, I'm sort of like not fully transitioned to be like be a Canadian, but at the same time, I'm so like it's like halfway there, but not really, like kind of stuck in between, which is the disadvantage, like in a way. But at the same time, but once you start like trying to like building that bridge, it actually become beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, photo books just in general in Toronto. It's not easy to find photo books anywhere in Toronto.
Yeah. Exactly. Like even like say I was at the Steam Bulgers Gallery a lot, like they do have like a small section.
Yeah, they do have a small section there.
Even that, it was like a more of a vintage classic.
Yeah, big names.
Yeah, exactly. And or you can actually go to a Contact Photo Book Lab.
Right, yeah. That's
They
what
have
the
a-
speed dating thing was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
they have like a lot of like a small independent
Smaller
around.
print.
But I find like contact photo book like they're more focusing on like not only like a small independent one, but they're focusing more toward like UK and the Europe. So which means we have this like a missing link where, and they're also like they're also like stocking some like titles from Middle East, but we still but that which still leave us like there was like a missing piece
Missing piece, yeah.
in like this huge chunk of area. Yeah, which are very diverse, very vibrant, and some when I haven't even like I haven't even like seen yet myself or like touch it yet. Yeah. And which is so that means like which might actually kind of like spark my interest too. Yeah.
I feel like the books too, they're more experimental. Like I feel like a lot of the books that come out are very like standard nowadays. It's just like a book, you know,
Yeah.
there's photos in a book. Whereas these, like the one you bought, where it's like all handmade. The other one, it's all handmade.
cat
You know?
Nice one.
And printing costs is one of the things that was able to help those like a lot of these books. A lot of like a lot of printers to be able to like fake uh, focus on the quality of the book. Yeah. Especially that book. That book, I think that book is came out like a 2017 and
And she
2018.
made it. There, all the copies are made by her. It's a woman, right?
That's handmade,
Yeah.
but that one is
Yeah.
that one it came out I think it was like 2018. 20, so there at the time the printing cost was still relatively low even in Japan. So they were actually able to focus on the quality, like maybe like using a good quality paper, doing doing like almost a handbound like binding.
Are there more photo book stores in Japan than in Toronto?
I would say yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Even
The
Taipei.
culture is so big
Yeah.
there for so many years.
Yeah. Even Taipei has like a one dedicated commercial photo book store. And Taipei is about like a similar population with Toronto.
This is where we can publish our books.
Memento Publishing.
Yeah, everybody can do independent publishing. To be honest with you.
Have you ever tried hand making your books, like hand binding?
Not yet, but who knows?
Yeah.
I never say never. Yeah. I could do it like maybe I might be doing one dummy for like maybe one a year, this year. I do have this one project I want to make it into the zine, but instead of like completely handmade, I might take into the printing company to print it, like to print them out, and then bind it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's the one pet project that I was sort of like a branch out of my original personal project. I focused on this family who survived the 2011 tsunami and end up rebuilding their business. Now they have like a grandchildren. But at the same time, I was also helping out with this festival. So like this pet project just become like the series of photo I was taking while I was helping out and participating in the summer festival. Yeah, but it could be published this year, but I'm not sure yet.
Who are your top 3 photographers that influenced your work? Living or dead?
Currently, it changes like
of course,
age.
yeah.
But I would say Alex Webb was like in the early days, Alex White was the one that influenced my work the most. Yeah, I do have his I do have his first book. Yeah,
I think I have his first book too.
Hot Light, Hot Light.
Suffocation of Light or something? Is that
No, I think the Half Light, Half Made World.
okay?
I bought it when I was in university, and it's already the covers, the dust jacket is already been teared, and it's already. But even that, it was costing me $300.
Wow.
This is this is like 2004 that we're talking.
Yeah.
But after I moved to Toronto, he was a instructor on one of the magnet workshop. So I went to him, brought two of his titles, and made him sign.
So to Alex Webb. That's cool.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, you have this book?" Because I brought a Hot Light, Half Made World, and From the Sunshine State. Because From the Sunshine State, for me personally, From the Sunshine State was his best work.
I think I have mine. It might be a retrospect of Suffocation of Light or something. Like
Yeah.
That was. I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That he published that like a couple
That's
years.
like a famous one.
Yeah.
I think.
It's almost like his complete works.
His complete works. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think other than him,
You mentioned Alex Soth, Sleeping by the Mississippi. That's a good one.
it's I'm only it kind of takes time to like him because it wasn't really my taste. It wasn't really fit my taste like at the very beginning, but then as the time progresses, like I do
Appreciate it in a different
appreciate
way,
it.
right?
Yeah. And now I'm more appreciative of Stephen Show's work. Just
Who?
Stephen Show. Stephen Show.
Oh, Stephen Shore. Yeah.
Yeah, because like it's when I was a student, I was I was attempting to imitate the composition with the 35 camera. At the time, I look at the image and I was telling myself and also I was telling a friend, it takes time to understand that composition. And then that was in my 20s. I think about like 25 years later when I start doing when I start doing Two Kings, I think that is when like I finally understand how he composed, like the thinking, like the thinking behind it. Yeah.
How you're like layering the image.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that really does take time to mature.
It's like with anything, your way of seeing evolves
Exactly.
over time, right?
Exactly.
Once you try training yourself to see certain things, you begin to start seeing other things.
So yes, to answer your question, yes, I do have an influential photographer, but like it kind of changes over time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And interesting enough, I don't. Oh, you know what? There is one photographer from Japan that I actually. It's not something. It's not a kind of style that influenced me, but like I just have like this like a profound respect to his work. I sold a copy out, but I have a sample. It's one of the iconic photographers in the 70s and 80s called Shigeo Gocho. And this is his complete work. So little bit about him. He actually born with the disease. So I actually kind of like hinder him from walking. But he also didn't live very long. But he was spending his lifetime just photographing anything all the stuff around him, just to trying to like search for his existence. And that actually became his life work. And one of the series that he did was like he was one of the few first photographer that experienced the color on color street photography. Like it's not so much of the style of photography that influenced, but it's about the photographer himself, like that the life that he lived. That kind of like compelled me.
He's still alive or no?
No, he's I think he passed away in the early '80s.
And this is like his complete collection. Well, these are different.
Oh yeah,
These are like paintings.
I think he was like doing something like with the
Paper, right?
paper
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
it's
just
a new.
Like those.
I was doing it in kindergarten, but not
You
so
do it
cool.
on half and then
Yeah,
you fold it
and
over,
then you
right?
like-
Yeah.
so this
Oh, no,
is
there's
a
color work, right?
that's the series. 'Cause I found this series on the website that was specialized in Japanese Japanese photo book. Probably about a decade ago, like there was a dedicated series. Uh, it was dedicated photo book on that series. But by the time I had a budget to buy that book, it was out of print.
So he has a book that's just these photos here, too,
Yeah.
right? Okay. This is like a retrospective.
So when this publisher decided to publish this book, I was like, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah. Is it the complete works from that book here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because at the time, the the my work was still very much influenced by Alex Webb's work.
Yeah.
So
You can see in his like use of
yeah,
light.
but in the hindsight, one of the reason why that it has that look is because like this back then, this is how you expose the slide film.
Exactly. You get
Yeah.
those dynamic range of colors.
Exactly. Because my very first, remember I was mentioning the theme park that I was doing. That was my last film project. First long-term project, but then my last film project. Because the slide I was using, I think around like maybe 2007, Kodak like stopped, discontinued that slide I was using without any announcement. I would just quietly drop that line.
All of a sudden, you couldn't buy the film.
No, I was like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna stop.
Guess the project has to stop, right?
plus I relocated to Canada like By then, I already relocated to Canada for like about 2 years.
Because if you're shooting a project in this one film stock and then you have to shoot another one, it completely changes the way it should look, you know?
Yeah, because it's like 20 years ago, you're basically like shooting under the impression that they're not gonna discontinue anything.
Yeah. This is how it is.
Yeah, exactly. Then boom, like it costs us only like. I'm always like I'm always just like I always love to tell that story. Back in the days, you shoot a raw film, you drop it at the lab. If you drop it early enough, then they pick up E6. How much does it cost you? $47 a roll.
Wow.
47.
47.
US dollar.
Yeah.
Still. It's like under $10 you get a roll down, and then if you drop it early enough you pick up same
The
day.
same day.
Morning, if you drop it like say for example before 10, you pick up after 2.
And I'm sure there were more film labs, so you could be walking around. There's a film lab on the corner.
I was in
here.
San Francisco. I was living in San Francisco at the time.
Yeah.
Just go to downtown. Like every couple hundred meters, you have a professional film lab. Even though they're not much, but they're always there. Yeah. You drop the film, you pick up the chemicals for the lab for the doctor at the same time, and boom, you're done your day. It's work. Yeah. So that was so that's one, but because like slide has been because like the discontinuation of the slide in the last decade or so, I was forced to transition to digital just because there's no other way.
Yeah.
So when people ask me if I'm going to switch back to film, it's logistically too prohibitive for me to actually do that switch because I'm already done with one huge switch. It's gonna cost me more to switch it back. Yeah. Especially like if you like started out shooting slides. Yeah. So yeah. So I guess that's my talk. Ooh. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
Hope I didn't tire you out.